Hi guys, I'm Raphael Aaliyah.
And I'm John Jackson, and this is the Mancave. Breaking news! Nets win a great game. What's that? Oh no! My producer says no. The Nets are terrible. Nets lost again. They lost again. They lost to the Heat.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, they lost to the Heat 102-98. The Nets are terrible. Well, what a season they're having.
Yeah.
For a team that should be competing somewhat after they re-signed Thaddeus Young and Brook Lopez.
Yeah, we could say it time and time again. It doesn't make it any better.
I feel like we start every show off with the Nets losing because the Nets, and it was a close one. It was. They looked at points. They looked like they were going to win the game.
But they do that.
Lost.
They do that game in and game out.
Yeah.
They look like
they have a lot of halftime leads sometimes. Where
don't count on that.
They're up by like 2, but it means absolutely nothing. Sometimes they're up by like 10, and they still lose. So,
but give New York basketball fans some good news, right? The Knicks
also lost. But, with the Knicks, they went into overtime, and they played a good Oklahoma City team. The Thunder this year, they were 34-13. Kevin Durant, he's just amazing. Last night he had a great game as well. The Knicks probably would have won that game if they had Melo, but Melo was out. Porzingis, he was good as always, and Flalo, he was also good last night. But again, they lost, and that's all that matters. And the Knicks are now a few games under 500 at 22-25. So they're up and down this season.
Yeah.
Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, they need to find that midway where they could be a competing team. They've shown that. So we're looking forward to seeing that. The Nets, they don't look like they could
not at all.
The way they were looking
at the beginning of the season.
They're gonna need drastic changes if they want to really compete. Let's continue this New York losing streak, if you will, as we go to Barclays Center for the New York Islanders, who lost to the Red Wings 4-2. And that's where our losing streak ends, because the New York Rangers happened to get a win 6-3 at MSG against the Buffalo Sabres. Not a good Sabres team, not a team that you could be allowing 3 goals to. They were losing at one point in that game as well. But hey, a win's a win. And when you score 6 goals, you can't really argue with the method. This is without Rick Nash, and it seems to have been benefiting them offensively, but I won't say anything. I don't have as much beef with Rick Nash as other people do. I think he creates a lot of offensive opportunities, but that's proven false. The Rangers and the Islanders now both head into the All-Star break. They'll play again on February 2nd when the Rangers go to New Jersey to face the Devils, and the Islanders come back home against the Minnesota Wild. Right now, the Rangers are in 2nd in the Metropolitan Division, leading the Islanders, who are in 3rd. I think the Devils are in 5th, and of course, number 1, the Washington Capitals. They keep rolling.
Yeah, best team.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the NFL. Not a whole lot to talk about here in New York because the Jets and the Giants, not much to talk about.
We're not in the playoffs.
Not in the playoffs, exactly. But we can talk about the draft, which is only a few months away. And Mike Maccagnan, the GM for the New York Jets, has been talking a lot about that draft. So you want to talk about
as you may know, he was a scout for the Texans before we signed him as GM. And last year he did such a great job turning a 4-12 team into a 10-6 team. So it was a big draft for him too because he's a scout. He knows who to scout. He knows the good players and the bad players.
This is his area of expertise.
Very big strength for him. Right now, we have a hole at outside linebacker because Quentin Copel's left.
Yeah.
So Maccagnan is going to look into the outside linebacker position.
And we have some options there as well. We have Miles Jack, UCLA. We have Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame. And also notably, Leonard Floyd out of Georgia. Those are some of the bigger edge linebackers. And but people don't really think about the Jets' defense when they think about needs. But
when you think of our front, with the Jets' front 7, it's a very big strength of ours.
Yeah.
However, outside linebacker is one position that we could use now with the departure of Quentin Copels.
And hey, strengthen up the defense can't really hurt you, right? But in the end, I think the Jets are going to go with the best available pick. And if that happens to be a quarterback, Mike Maccagnan said he's not going to be shy about drafting a quarterback. Though we do have Bryce Petty, and he said, and I quote, "We're not giving up on Bryce Petty." But if a quarterback such as Paxton Lynch or Carson Wentz ends up falling in our lap, I doubt Mike Maccagnan's gonna.
You gotta take it at that point. Yeah, Bryce Petty, he may have a lot of upside for the future, but he was a lower round pick. He wasn't a first round pick. He was, I believe, a third round pick. So we don't want to rely on Bryce Petty right now.
No.
Even for the future, we really don't want to put all of our eggs in the Bryce Petty basket. So what we really want to do as a franchise is look for a better quarterback that can be our franchise quarterback, something the Jets have not been able to do
in a while.
Really, in their whole franchise, aside from Joe Namath, you can't really name
I can't really
big
name
franchise quarterbacks.
A franchise name. That's a very good point. I've never thought about that. Thank you for ruining my day.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mike Maccagnan had also expressed a little on the side about having Ryan Fitzpatrick back. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, they say they want to re-sign him before free agency hits in March. And they're pretty confident that they will re-sign him.
And they're pretty confident that he's going to accept any offer.
Exactly.
I don't think
he wants to come back.
He does want to come back. And it's a good team to come back to.
Great wide receivers.
Yeah,
he gets a lot of help.
He's going to be that veteran that the younger quarterbacks turn to.
Absolutely.
So let's shift our gear now to the MLB, where we have our headline story.
Yeah, so this comes as a surprise to many Met fans, but the Mets have re-signed Yoenis Cespedes. They have re-signed Yoenis Cespedes. Yes, us Met fans are very happy with the re-signing of Yoenis Cespedes. However, it is probably going to be for 1 year because it's a 3-year contract worth $75 million, but it's an opt-out after the first year. So he's probably, most likely, going to come back for the 1 year and hit free agency next year. Now, why did he do this instead of going to the Nationals? That's a good question.
Don't ask us.
Yeah, the Nationals offered him, so they said, 5 years, $100 million. The Nationals are a good team, but the Mets are favorites and most logical people's minds to win the National League East.
They're probably now the favorites to make it back to the World Series.
Yeah, although some reporters do say, I read one article where one predicted the Mets would win 86 games, the Nationals would win the division at 88 games. However, those people know absolutely nothing.
Sir, I'm speaking to you right now.
Yes,
because
to you.
If anyone who's looked at the pitching rotation for the Mets, and let's talk about also just the lineup in general. The Mets have their bench was a very weak point last season because when somebody got injured or somebody had to take a day off, they had no one to replace them. No one of any noteworthy batting stats. But now, all those guys who were starters last season, Ruben Tejada, Wilmer Flores, I could go on. But now they're going to be on the bench. So you had starters from last season, a team that made the World Series, now on your bench. It can't really get much better for them.
The bench was weak last year until we traded for Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson. Now, we do not have either one of them, but as Rafael alluded to, now we have guys like Tejada, and we have Flores and Diaz. All guys that could be starting on certain teams are now in, and Juan Lagares too.
Yeah.
All guys that could be started and would be starting if this is a different Mets team are on our bench, so that's good. However, going back to Cespedes, a lot of people are thinking maybe the Nationals have a toxic atmosphere after that choking last year of Bryce Harper by Jonathan Papelbon. And the Mets have a very fun atmosphere now, very laid back and loose, and that's very different from the past when free agents wouldn't want to come to the Mets.
They're a fun team to watch.
But now we have Zach Wheeler saying to Sandy Alderson, "Don't trade me." Wilmer Flores crying when he thought he was going to be traded. And now Yoenis Cespedes taking less money to go on the Mets. However, before I continue on building up the Mets, Yoenis Cespedes is a smart move for him too, because next year's free agent class is very weak. So if he opts out next year, which most people think he will,
he'll get a lot of money.
He'll get a lot of money and a bigger contract. And while he would have got less this year because we went so far into the free agent season without him being signed.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Right before we leave, let me just leave you guys with this. Imagine how this Mets team would differ if Wilmer Flores had actually been traded last season. because then there would be no Cespedes. This deal would have never taken place. Who knows if they would have even made the World Series.
Very true, yeah, very true.
Just something to contemplate. I'm Raphael Leah.
And I am John Jackson, and this has been the Man Cave.